Not even a set of doctrine. That's how the world perceives Christianity. But the heart and soul of Christianity is Jesus Christ.
Join Dr. Michael Youssef this week on Leading the Way.
Weekday mornings at 11:30 and evenings at 8:30 on WFIA, The Spirit. You're listening to Just Ask Joyce on WFIA, The Spirit.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And we have another Steve online. Thank you so much for calling in, Steve.
Yeah, Joyce, thanks for taking my call.
Hey, it's our pleasure.
I got a little, it's just a short thing about, I don't know what it was called back then, but this they're talking about this no-fly, no-buy
right.
stuff. Well, my daughter was taking her daughter and her son to flying up to Maine, and they got pulled out by TSA in Louisville because he's got a Irish name. His first name is Sean Kelly. Mm-hmm. And that must have been on, I don't know if it was part of the IRA or whatever, but he was 7 years old.
Wow.
Well, Steve,
they pulled them all out and had to get cleared by a supervisor for them to get on the airplane.
Well, Steve, yeah, that's one of the reasons that I'm so vehemently against this portion, because I have a friend who's unfortunately no longer with us, but he also had the same name as somebody on the list, and every time he flew, he had to go and get extra clearance ahead of time before that because the name was on there. A good friend of mine who writes for the Weekly Standard, Stephen Hayes, who many of you have probably seen on Fox News or CNN or other news organizations, he also his name is similar to one on the no-fly list, and he also goes through that every single time. The no-fly list is broken. It has to be reformed because there is a purpose for it, but it has to be reformed and it has to be done, and it cannot be used as the gold standard in order to enforce gun control on an individual or whether or not he or she can buy a gun.
Well, it's going to be interesting. My daughter's taking the kids back up to Maine. That's where she was born. Mm-hmm. And I think a week from Friday. Uh-huh. And it's about a week and a half. And he's 14 now, so I'm just curious to see what happens this time.
Mm-hmm. It'll be interesting. But, it's like, it's so, we know that it's, that he's perfectly legit, but it's so odd that they would pull a name like that and let, some Omar Mateen or something go through. I mean, it's like, really?
Well, I'm not sure how old he was, but I know he at the most he was 7 years old.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow.
And he was kind of a little kid.
Oh yeah.
He's really.
And that's been a few years ago. But
post
9/11.
Yeah, it was at least 7 years ago.
Post 9/11, yeah.
Post 9/11.
9/11 changed things.
He's 14, but he's he's turned into a man, and
right.
I'm just curious.
Yep.
What's going to happen?
You better tell him to go early.
Yeah, and you better call the United States Senate and share your opinions with your senators, because they need to know about the problems that are in the current no-fly list before they do any action on this issue.
Well, it happened so long ago. I'm not sure what it was called back then, but anyway, I thought it was funny as hell when I heard it, and now with what's going on now, I think, man, this is getting out of hand.
Yep, it is, Steve. Thank you so much, bud. Appreciate that call.
Thank you.
All right.
And and that's the problem that we have with the no-fly list, that I keep calling on people to tell that. But the other thing I was going to say about the filibuster, and I told Joyce this off air, is the filibuster is so important, and it is such a part of our the way the Senate works, and allows the minority to stand up against the majority on an issue, and maybe to hear more voices of the American people. I just still think it's so odd that we're going to use the filibuster here when we still, use the filibuster to pass a budget, use the filibuster for tax reform, use the filibuster for the fact that we have crumbling roads and bridges and that we need action instead of corruption that we got out of the stimulus plans that
Right.
we've had before. Use the filibuster to allow our teachers to actually get the opportunity to teach as they know how, because they are the education professionals, not a bureaucrat in Washington, Indianapolis, or Frankfurt. Use the filibuster over our veterans. We never had a filibuster over the veterans health care crisis, and it is the most egregious crisis that we've had in the modern era in government. And we still have not done the reforms there. We still have not fired those who need to be fired. Instead, we have laid off or not hired the staff that we need to care for our veterans on a daily basis. The people who did the corruption are still there, and they need to be fired. Why don't you filibuster about something like that
instead of filibustering over a Second Amendment right? It's like, I know. You got a little fire under your
it just
belt there, didn't you,
bothers me.
It's like,
it bothers me.
Well, I'm glad somebody else got pranked and yanked today, too. But 571-2428, 571-CHAT. Wow. You know what? I know this hour's going to be over. We still would love to hear from you. We have a couple of bits of breaking news that we will share with you. Well, I'll share one with you. The little boy at Disney World was discovered. And so that at least will bring some closure to the family. But please pray for that family. How horrible. How horrible. We'll be back. Don't go away.
WFIA. The Spirit.
With an impressive roster of services ranging from a simple haircut and coloring to a rejuvenating facial or relaxing massage, walk in the doors of About Face Spa and Salon and experience the difference. About Face Spa and Salon allows you to customize your physical wellness one appointment at a time. You'll love what they can do for you. Call and book your appointment today, 812-288-2300. That's 812-288-2300, and tell them Just Ask Joyce sent you.
It's our golden anniversary at WFIA.
50 years on the air in Kentuckiana.
And you can help us kick off our 50th summer this Sunday, Father's Day at Huber's. And WFIA and Better by Design present Gold City. With plenty of gold records of their own, Gold City.
Celebrate Dad's Heart of Gold with a sweet deal that's good as gold.
With 2 tickets, which include Huber's Family Restaurant's amazing buffet and a Gold City concert for just $50. Hurry, tickets are running out.
Gold City.
Each ticket comes with Joe Huber's Restaurant's famous fried chicken buffet. Don't miss this golden opportunity with Gold City. Call Huber's now for tickets, 812-923-5255.
It's this Sunday.
That's 812-923-5255. Call 812-923-5255. Babies are being saved in Louisville thanks to your support of a Woman's Choice Resource Center. Continue that support and join us Monday, July 11th for the 2016 Rick Bordas Scramble for Life, sponsored by Inside Connect Cable at the beautiful Lake Forest Country Club in eastern Jefferson County. Help support life in our community and enjoy a great day of golf. Register online at awclifesavers.org or call 502-569-0494.
Did you know the federal government provides more than $150 billion a year in grants, loans, and work-study funds to make higher education possible for anyone? Completing the free application for federal student aid, known as the FAFSA, is the first step to getting your share, and it's totally free and takes most people less than an hour to apply.
Go to knowhowtogoky.org and join the conversation on Twitter with hashtag MyFAFSAStory. This message is brought to you by the Pritchard Committee Student Voice Team and the Council on Post-Secondary Education.
This is Bob Birdie, and I want to invite you to what is being called the greatest night ever. The Tuesday night session of the Southern Baptist Annual Convention will be entirely devoted to prayer, and I have the privilege of hosting a recap of this powerful evening. Don't miss this incredibly significant event that will be aired on this station as a result of a partnership between the Southern Baptist Convention and the Salem Media Group.
Listen right here on WFIA Saturday noon to 2 and Sunday 1 to 3.
You're listening to Just Ask Joyce on WFIA, The Spirit.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We have Election Selection 2016 going on, and welcome your comments. Garrett Sivaking, political strategist, is on board. And Brian, thank you for your call. You're driving, I hear.
Yeah, I'm driving up and from Nashville heading north. And, I'm an old music guy, and I wanted to tell a pre-9/11 story. This has really affected me because I grew up in New York City, and I lost a lot of friends at the trade towers. You know?
I hear the accent.
I
like it. I like it.
So I've actually lost it. Trust me.
Oh,
but I was doing a border crossing once with a very famous rock and roll band, and bringing my dad back some cigars, and I shouldn't have been doing that, if you know what I mean.
I got you.
And they stopped me, and this is pre-9/11, of course, and they were going to put me on this, like, no travel list, red flag is what they said. And they actually allowed me to trade concert tickets to avoid that situation.
Good thing you had them.
and I'm not going to give the crossing or the name of the band, but it kind of made sunk in when after 9/11 when I lost friends and everything. It was pretty rough to think about how lackadaisical it was.
I know.
Go in and out of Canada without a passport back then.
Right? Yeah, it's changed. It's changed everything. It really did. Yeah. It really did.
Yeah, it surely has. I actually knew the young man that was the merchandise guy that was killed in Paris in the theater too. He was an old work buddy.
Wow.
And so it's really touched me, and I don't know. I'm for the regulations. I know they have to be adjusted, but I'm definitely for tighter regulations. So.
Right. Yeah, the reform needs to take place. But yes, I believe we do have some. And I don't know if you listened to the first hour of Just Ask Joyce. I don't know if you were close enough to do that. But we were talking about Phil Haney and his book, See Something, Say Nothing, where, there was actually a list. And in 2009, they were asked to scrub the list, of terrorist links of people that they had, and the government came in under Obama's leadership and said, scrub it, delete it right now. And then again in 2012, they had even a more extensive list, and they were ordered to wipe it clean, delete it. And, it was concerning to him. It should concern all of us because, if you're going to have such a list, why wouldn't we want the ones that are linked to terrorists to remain on there? And, that was very concerning to me.
Well, it is to me, too. I mean, when you see the eyes of the family members, like I lost the friends I lost, it was 2 sets of brothers,
Wow.
And when I was an altar boy back in the day with some of these guys, and grew up with them my whole life. When you see the hurt, that, just the pain that it creates, I don't see what the problem with a little inconvenience or a little, the political correctness thing has to stop. It really does. I mean, and we definitely need to reform it.
Well,
and, get it back on track.
Well, I appreciate that, kind of personal testimony from you, if you will, about, how it affected you personally. And I tell you, when it hits home, it really, it may just, put a whole different blanket over your perspective of things, from your cigars to where we are today. And I can tell you, that day will forever be in the minds of everyone, and more so in someone like you, Brian, who lost it, but even more so in the families that were lost. And I still believe, as Garrett said at the beginning of the show, it's not over. It is going to happen again in America. It will happen at a school. It'll happen at a church. It'll happen in at a restaurant. It's going to happen. We will see this at a stadium. We're going to see this kind of devastation that we saw on 9/11 again. This is just a little icing. This may be even a little mini cupcake in Orlando. We're going to see some big things that's going to rock our world. And so why wouldn't we want to be cautious and take every measure of vigilance that we can to protect our children, But God bless you, Brian. How far you got to go, bud?
I got to head up to Ohio, so not much further.
Not much further. Well, we're glad you could catch our show. Catch us anytime. You can download WFIA FM app free of charge and just listen Just Ask Joyce and call in anytime. I welcome you.
I work for Youth for Christ, and I'm a man of God, so I love it.
Good for you. Good for you.
Thanks,
Thank you so
Brian.
much, Brian. God bless you. Safe travels.
Thank you. God bless you guys. Too. All right. Bye-bye.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, first of all, this past weekend changed all of us again, too.
It did. It reminded us.
Yes, and it really has been a reminder for that. It also has changed the way that everybody looks at this election. No matter which candidate you're supporting, it changed the way you looked at the election because our focus had kind of drifted away from national security and defense and had gone to the economics, which, by the way, are still extremely